This is my best friend, and he's completely obsessed with Pokemon. So I'm sure he won't mind me absolutely ruining it for him by making Pokemon realistic.
Hello?
What are your favorite Pokemons? First up is Giratina. And no, it's not Giratina. Giratina. It's not my fault you can't read Japanese. Anyway, the first step is to import the reference Maxim shows, and now we're gonna make it realistic. But how do you do that? I start by tracing the shapes that make up Giratina. It's pretty boring, but if we add the gold texture, it starts looking a bit more interesting. And this is where we run into the first issue. I think this gray part should be scales, like snake scales. The problem is, for most of these macro shots, the depth of field is very shallow and most of the texture is blurry. So that's not ideal. Thankfully, I found this photo that isn't exactly snake scales, but it looks very similar and everything is in focus. So that's gonna be perfect for a texture. We gotta make sure to warp it to match the shape of the elements. Even though the shadows will help later on, it's better to have a texture that doesn't look flat. Next, I wanted to make his face, which looks a lot like a snake. Using a photo of a black snake seemed like the obvious way to do it, but for some reason this looks off. On the original drawing, we can see 3 separate parts, so I'll cut out 3 individual scales and position them like the drawing. Now I'll give some shadows to the gold, and we're pretty much done with the head. Now we just gotta do it all over again. Then I'll apply the same scale texture to the whole body. And with tint and saturation, we can make this part black. The black part looks like it's painted on, but usually the patterns on scales are made of individual scales being different colors. So let's refine the edges. And I did the same with the red part.
Woo! Yeah!
We have to make the spikes, which of course involves more tracing. And the same texturing process followed by shadows. Repeat this for all the spikes, and we can move on to the clenches. I guess that's what these are. Can you guess what the first step is? So after some more tracing, I applied the same texture as the head, and it's time to give all of these shading, starting with the body. Then the clenches, and we're looking good. So you might have noticed that I haven't addressed this weird thing here yet, but to be honest, I'm not sure how to. Regardless, I'm tired of tracing, so I decided to make a rough selection with the polygonal lasso tool and smooth it out in the selection tab. It comes out looking pretty decent, and it takes half the time.
Yeah, boy.
To shade these, I only draw a rough highlight and blur it out. And after some more details, here's the final result.
Ah, mais qu'est-ce que c'est que ce truc là?
Turtwig was Maxim's starter in the first Pokemon game he ever played, Pokemon Diamond and Pearl. And in the name of nostalgia, that's his second favorite Pokemon. And it's time for me to ruin it. Turtwig is this cute little turtle with a tiny tree on its head, and it's super cute. Or is it? First, I needed a reference, and I really like how it looks on this card. I got a photo of a land turtle and cut out the leg with the quick selection tool. Then I warped it in place without tracing, because I've had enough. I did the same with the other legs and warped another part of the photo as the bottom part of the turtle.
Plastron.
For the head, I used another photo, a photo of the most expressive turtle I've ever seen. It looks so happy for some reason. I cut out the upper part of the head and gave it quite a lot of warping to match the angle. Then I duplicated this part, warped it, and filled the gaps with the stem tool. After that, I did some more warping and replaced the eyes. I took the jaw from another photo and masked it out. Then I color corrected both parts of the head. I positioned the shell, roughly cut it out, and warped it. It actually worked surprisingly well. The last element of Turtwig is the small tree on its head, and my first attempt didn't work out. So instead I cut out leaves from this photo and replaced the shape with bark texture. This looks pretty bad now, but if I add some shadows and some highlights, it makes a crazy difference. The last step is recreating the scenery from this card, and it's gonna take a while. There it is, the realistic Turtwig.
Je trouve qu'il fait plus peur que Giratina, du coup c'est marrant.
Maxim's number one favorite Pokemon is Snorlax, and you can't disagree with this. It's a great choice. Snorlax is gonna be especially tricky because it has fur, and fur is pretty hard to deal with in Photoshop. But anyway, I'm gonna try my best. The closest real-life animals to Snorlax are pandas, so these are the photos I'll be using. Snorlax's stomach area is white, and I got a photo of the back of a panda that is completely white and roughly the same shape, so I'll cut it out and mask it. Now I need to take care of the blue parts on the sides. I got this photo because of the clear separation between the panda's fur and the background. It will allow me to have a nice furry edge after cutting it out. I warped it in place using Puppet Warp, and we have a problem. There is a black edge behind the fur, and I have a feeling that it's gonna be pretty hard to deal with. Instead of trying to get rid of it, I'll make it brighter by isolating it with layer style, and while I'm at it, I'll make everything blue. It doesn't look amazing now, but let's do the other side before fixing it. I think part of the reason why these look bad is because they're smooth and flat. So I'll duplicate fur from the belly and apply it as overlay. Now that we've done all this for the sides, I guess I'll just duplicate them to make the head. Next we need to give him ears, and obviously they look nothing like Panda's ear. So I cut them out from a cute little Shiba Inu, I warped the hell out of them, colored them in blue, and blend them in as best as I could.
Nice job, team.
For the white part of the face, I cut out the panda's head, but Photoshop started lagging and was on the verge of crashing, so I had to take a break. When my laptop cooled down and I got rid of the eyes, nose and mouth, I warped it into place. Just like I did before, I duplicated parts of the side to make the arms this time. Now, for what I think is the most unconventional part, his paws. I got the photo of a cat's paw and cut out small parts of it. Then I did a lot of warping and masking, and it's pretty close to the original. To make the claws, it was unavoidable. I had to do some tracing. I textured them really quick. And to finish off this design, we have what I think by far the most important part, the face. This will make or break our design. If I mess up, Snorlax will go from cute to absolutely terrifying. For the mouth, I'll cut it out from a panda and add dog teeth. Let's use this photo of closed cat eyes and adjust the blending mode. That's not too bad. The mouse though is absolutely horrible, so let's fix it. I'll replace it with one of the eyes upside down, and with some blending, it's pretty good. At last, I made a tree for him to rest onto. There it is. It's definitely my favorite from today, but let's see what Maxim thinks.
Bob Kulva.